Hello, welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm your co-host, Russell.
And I'm a guest host tonight. My name is Adam Rosenberg-Wolf.
Yeah, so on this late episode that is coming out 3 days late, I have Adam because Emma is tired and not here, and it was just a whole difficulty planning it out. So, Adam's here, and we're working on a film together. Adam, let's talk about first... How do you know me? And let's talk about some background in your film background stuff.
Yeah. So I have a class at Russell. Saw him in the corner of my eye. And yeah, he's a good guy. You know, at first, this class that we're in, I just kind of hated everyone and really didn't want to talk to anyone. But we bonded off the fact that you were working in LA.
Yeah.
And we just talked about film, and you actually know your stuff, unlike a lot of other people we go to school with. So, yeah, we totally hit it off. And, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, yeah, Adam, you're from the Los Angeles area.
That is correct.
And since I was out there this summer, we bonded on Adam knowing someone else who knew stuff about where he's from, which is always nice because the mystery location in which I go to school, there's not a whole lot of people from the West Coast who go to school in the Midwest. I feel it's very reverse. I think kids from the Midwest want to get the hell out of here and go to the West Coast. So, Adam, why did you choose to come to this unnamed school that we go to?
I really wanted to go to the Midwest because I grew up from just being in LA my whole life, and I grew up in a bubble, and I knew the same people most of my life. Went through a K-8 school with a high school that most of the other kids around the area grew up in, so you just knew the same faces. And yeah, I just really wanted to go to the Midwest, preferably a school with a pretty good history of sports.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you're a big sports fan. You're a lot bigger sports fan than I am. I mean, I know enough sports to be able to have a cohesive conversation with somebody, but I don't know stats or enough about it.
Yeah, I'm a bookworm when it comes to sports and just really useless information about movies or just pop culture.
I know enough that I worked for a sports TV station for a while, and that's about the extent of my sports knowledge. And my dad's a sports nerd. But so let's talk about the film, the project.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So for people who don't know, I do film as a thing, is what I do. Adam also does film as a thing. Mm-hmm. It's what he does. And Adam is currently in a senior thesis type class where if you're a film person and you're in a senior thesis type class, instead of doing building a thing or pitching a new company or designing something, you have to make a film to add to the body of knowledge and essentially present it in a film festival. So on that backdrop, the class that he's in is tailored just to have you finish this creation in a semester, which is pretty difficult because the semester's only about 16 weeks.
Yeah.
And you have to essentially come up with an idea if you didn't already have one in the back of your head, cast it, get locations, get sets, get everything done, edit it, do everything in-house, essentially by yourself or with a few core people, or maybe if you're cheating, use people outside of the ecosystem that we're in. But yeah, so that happened. Adam created an idea, which I'll tell you about in a sec, and then it came back to this other class that we're in together, which is kind of a feeder class for the other thing. However, I kind of bypassed doing that class by doing my own independent film in Los Angeles last summer that I know I've mentioned a few other times on the show. So that's why I didn't do this other thing, because I did the other project out there. And I was asked by a few people to help with their project and read a few scripts. And they're all okay, but they didn't really... I don't know how to put this the right way. Their projects, I didn't really get behind a lot of them, so I didn't have a huge passion to do it, even though the people who pitched in me are really nice people and I like them as humans. But it wasn't there weren't any huge projects that I was like, oh, sweet, I could see myself spending 60 hours plus, or 100 hours working on this thing, plus doing normal everyday life, plus work and everything. And then Adam came to me with his idea, and he's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, so my idea for this movie was to make something as different out of the other 15 or so students who are making a film in this class. And I have some pretty out there influences, in my opinion. A lot of guys who are not the common, Wes Anderson or, Christopher Nolan type dudes. So, yeah, I was really into a lot of art house movies from the 60s, preferably foreign films, and really like the vibe of just how eerie a lot of them are, particularly Ingmar Bergman movies. And that was my goal, was just to make something as different and out there as possible. And I'm glad, I guess, in a way, it really resonated for you because you're willing to help out.
Yeah, if for people who are listening, most everyone, maybe except a few people who I know personally listen. I know a lot of people listen, but Ingmar Bergman is a director who made a lot of movies like 50s,
60s from 60s. Sweden.
And he made his most famous movie is The Seventh Seal.
And I wouldn't say this movie is The Seventh Seal, but it's all those other experimental movies he made towards the later half of the 60s.
So yeah, by experimental, what we mean, and by Seventh Seal, it's a film about two crusaders who wind up on a beach, and one of them plays the devil in a game of chess to buy time for his life. And it's like, if I beat you and I win, I live. And if not, I lose. It's kind of an idea that's in a lot of stories. It's playing the devil.
And that was the first movie where everyone started parodying that concept.
And it's like, you can see it in music videos. There's the Hail Mary Mallon music video where they're playing card games.
I was going to say Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, one of those movies.
Yeah, where they play the devil, or you play the antagonist in a game to see if you can win. Kind of like a double or nothing sort of scenario. And this movie's called The Seventh Seal. And if anyone hasn't seen it and they want to see a movie that's just really different than something you may have seen before, and it'll make you think, and it's in the 50s, so it's a lot of long shots without much editing. It's the opposite of The Avengers, is what it is. If you go to the polar opposite end of the spectrum, it's a really good movie. It's not scary or anything. It's just black and white and it's experimental and very emotional. And when Adam told me, he's like, hey, these are my influences, this is what I want to do, I'm like, hell yeah, that would be so cool to work on a film in like a student setting, or like literally $0 budget setting, and trying to achieve this look. Whereas a lot of other student films, by most everyone who has seen a movie knows what a student film is, or like what a low budget film looks like, where there's a lot of the same kind of errors that happen, where in a student film the audio is usually really bad, or the camera's really shaky, or the acting's not so on point, or whatever it is.
The editing's atrocious.
The editing is bad, the color correction is bad. And this isn't just talking smack about other people, this is just like the stereotypes of a student film, or even professional movies that you see in Hollywood. People will compare them to student films if they don't have these certain core parts of a film down. And one of the things that Adam really came to me with, and that I've really tried to achieve with him, is taking those ideas and minimizing the amount of moving parts. So it's not going to be a lot of action where you have to block the set or block the scene the right way so it looks the right way that you would think in a normal movie. We don't have a lot of actors, and it's a lot of long takes and really kind of quiet setting. So we can mask a lot of the shortcomings of a budget by doing this, and have something that looks really, 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 hopefully professional, with a very amateur setup. So what is the movie about?
So, this movie that we're making is about a feeble-minded wanderer, almost like there's a movie that I was kind of referencing with this character, and it's They Live. It's a John Carpenter movie from the later 80s. And this character that was inspired from this movie is this ragamuffin kind of dude who's like not really keen on knowing what's going on around him, nor does he have the ability to do what he feels is right. The guy is illiterate. The guy has nothing going for him. And with all these shortcomings, he stumbles upon this huge discovery of finding newspapers from the future that predict this huge post-apocalyptic disaster, doomsday. Everyone dies in the future. So this is a movie about his struggle with trying to communicate with other people and try to get this message across of this huge doomsday that is almost unstoppable, that he can't physically get other people to believe. So yeah, it's a really dark movie. It's really abstract in my opinion, but it's exactly what I was trying to make.
Yeah, and in filming it and helping work on the script and work with our actors who are incredible, who are probably the most willing people to do anything that I've ever met. So some of the locations that we're at an abandoned, abandoned diner, abandoned motels in a swamp, in a lake, under a bridge, digging through alleys in like ponds and puddles, and getting really disgusting. And our main actor, whose name is Jacob, is super cool with all of it. The first thing we filmed, we're like, hey, we want you to stand in this lake and just sit there. And he was like, cool, where do I get in? And I think it's that attitude that's going to make this project really, really, really good. There's also, we were just there today filming. That's why it's so late and why we're both exhausted. Because making a movie is a little stressful and very energy consuming. Mm-hmm. And we were at an abandoned motel, which looks like it's actually from a post-apocalyptic world. And there's graffiti everywhere, and it's like broken glass and bottles. And it's just a really kind of sketch place to be. But both actors who we had, one of them, the other guy's Noah, were like, cool, where do we go? What do we have to do? And didn't, I guess, complain about the location or the fact that it was getting dark and we were in this kind of deserted place. And when we were at our diner, which was our first day of filming, I think, it was like pouring rain. And it was probably 40 degrees. And there was a car there, and the cop stopped us. And our main actor, Jacob, was just like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's have more fun with this. And we probably drove for like 2.5 hours that day to get to our locations. And it's been a lot of fun. If nothing else, if this film gets blown up in the process of editing, at least the process has been really fun to make this. And I think it's going to be something really different that a lot of people haven't seen before, especially from this age and this level of production.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, originally I got this idea around November, December, because I knew I'd be taking this course. And yeah, I was pretty nervous because it's a lot. Like you said, you're directing, producing, you name it. You're doing everything you can to make the film that you have in your mind, or the idea that you're trying to pitch to other people. And for me, using these crazy, or just really, I think, out there influences with these movies, like, you know, the Bergman movies, or Andrei Tarkovsky, another great Russian director, as well as like even some Kurosawa, like Dreams, that movie he made in the 80s. Yeah, just some stuff that really throws you off as an audience member when you're watching this. So I'm just really happy everything's, you know, really coming together. Like you were saying, these two actors we have in this movie are just phenomenal. I'm so happy we can work with them, and also got a great director of photography coming in over here, Russell.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man, these shots are looking great.
Yeah, we just reviewed some of the footage, like literally 10 minutes before we started recording this, and thankfully all of them have turned out really well, because when you're filming something like this, it's very like run and gun. There's not really a whole lot of setup. We're like, okay, we're in the spot. We have our microphone ready. We have our camera ready. Let's go. And we shot all of it basically with natural light, which means there's no, we don't have like those big studio lights in all of our locations. We're kind of like opening up windows or turning on lights in rooms to make it look very realistic and to give it a very like dark, kind of ominous feel. It's a real crapshoot, because so it can turn out looking really cool, or it can turn out looking
Like trash.
Like trash. It can turn out looking like a really, really poorly done YouTube video. And that's not what we want to do with this. We want it to look as cool as possible. But yeah, enough about the movie because, yeah, you guys don't want to. You want to hear about it, but you don't want to.
I think you want to see it first before
Yeah.
we have this discussion.
And definitely when it gets released, I'll put a link in one of the descriptions of the podcast and post it everywhere. So if you've listened to this or you just want to see something that I've made outside of this podcast, it will be there and available for all of you to listen to it and enjoy it to your heart's content. So let's now talk about things that you like, Adam, because you're new to this show and people haven't heard you on here. So yeah. What are things that you like and stuff and things?
Yeah, I like quite a couple things. I'm a big music guy. I play guitar, and I have been most of my life. It's one of my favorite habits that I have. I love playing every day, at least for an hour or so, and just getting lost in music. I love collecting vinyl records. I have like over 100 or so, and it's just an escape for me.
So what are some of your favorite musicians? And like you said, you like collecting records. So what are some, if you had to recommend music to someone who's never listened to music with you, what would be the Adam playlist for a first time hangout session?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I've had people ask me that question before. And yeah, I have a couple playlists. I would say I throw a lot of Talking Heads on. They're one of my favorite bands at the moment. Especially the album Remain in Light. Came out in 1980. It's like one of the best albums in my opinion. Super underrated. Some great like dance music with a lot of African like polyrhythmic beats. So yeah, I would throw that on. And also love like Anderson .Paak and I don't know. I like a little bit of everything.
So one of the things that Adam and I first realized that we had in common was a musician, I guess I would call him musician slash producer, and his partner in crime. It's his name is Aesop Rock, and his partner in crime for a specific project is this guy named Rob Sonic, and they have a duo and an album or two albums. Their band name or their duo name is called Hail Mary Mallon. And Mary Mallon is Typhoid Mary from New York, and she was a cook and gave everyone typhoid. And that's what Mary Mallon comes from. And yeah, I don't think I've ever met another person who knew Hail Mary Mallon outside of me telling them, you gotta listen to this. It's super weird and super dark. And I had Hail Mary Mallon on in my car, and you were like, holy shit, I love them. I'm like, what? Someone else knows who this is.
Yeah, it freaked me out too because I don't know anyone else who knows who Aesop Rock is, and in my opinion at least, he's the best rapper out there. I mean, the guy has an insane use of vocabulary. I mean, that guy like knows every single word in the thesaurus.
Just like what your best friend Anthony Fantano says.
I guess we're friends now.
Yeah, Anthony Fantano, you guys are friends now. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, just like what he said is Aesop Rock is the reason that the encyclopedia and the dictionary exist. I
agree with that.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, Aesop Rock and Rob Sonic is more of a producer, and Aesop Rock is more
like
of
the hype man.
Yeah, he is more the hype man. And this is a rap duo, but it's not Drake. If you want to listen to Hail Mary Mallon or Aesop Rock or Rob Sonic, it's not Drake. That's not what you're getting into. It's not Migos. It's very wordy and very...
It's like conscious rap.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that really sets it.
It's very not mainstream, and it's not something that you would hear on like B96 or on like Kiss FM or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's very not radio friendly, but it'll make you think. It's more of a slow burn. Even though it is very catchy and it makes you want to listen to more of the music, it's not, I guess, radio friendly at all. Or,
but that's not a bad thing.
It's not. It's not God's plan.
Yeah, it's not Drake, but that's what makes me love that kind of music. That or like MF Doom, these guys who actually have something witty to say, and along with these insane samples that they pull out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's really,
I love it.
It's really cool. And you were showing me the the Jay Dilla.
Oh yeah, donuts. Yeah, that never gets old.
So can you explain who Jay Dilla is to people who
Oh yeah,
may have never heard?
yeah. Jay Dilla is awesome. He's regarded as like one of the best hip hop producers out there. I mean, guy passed away in 2006, but he's been memorialized as this god, and he really is, in my opinion, just pulling out these random ass records out of nowhere, artists I've never heard of,
Yeah,
sampling a song and totally changing it up and making something different.
I know.
Really opened my eyes. At least.
Yeah, people may have heard Jay Dilla referenced in like Lil Wayne songs or Eminem
Really?
songs. They name drop Jay Dilla because that's how I heard about him. Was
I
he was
never knew
name
that.
dropped in another song? I
Okay.
don't remember.
Yeah, I know him because of Adult Swim. All the
Oh,
funk
yeah.
music and, yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of music for Adult Swim things that they play. So whoever is in charge of music at Adult Swim, I'm sure
Jason DeMarco.
is it Jason DeMarco?
He's the dude who like formed Run the Jewels.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's he like the third guy in Run the Jewels? It's not
yeah.
Killer Mike or ELP.
Yeah, he was. I forgot his title at Adult Swim, but he was pretty good friends with LP along with Killer Mike, and I think Killer Mike was making. I think the album was called Rap Music.
Yeah. The one with like Gangsta Boo is on it and all that. Yeah.
And LP produced the whole album, and this guy Jason DeMarco was like, "Hey, you guys should make an album." And they really just had this insane chemistry.
Yeah. And that's when Run the Jewels formed through this guy and as ELP says or LP says through lots of drugs.
ELP, man, that's Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's a whole nother band.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But LP is awesome. Too.
Yeah. No, LP, what he calls himself is E-LP.
He doesn't even go by LP.
No, not anymore. He's an ELP.
But like, what about
Emerson Lake?
Yeah, that's some great prog rock. He's just ripping off.
I know. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Oh man. If you guys haven't listened to that, that's a blast from the past.
Mhm.
Listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That's like 1968.
Yeah, it's like 70s prog rock. Big fan of that too.
But going off on those, not to get on because for people who are new to this and for Adam who definitely listens to all these episodes, I don't get political on the show ever. I try not to. But what do you think about the Killer Mike thing? And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, is I've stopped listening to Run the Jewels because Killer Mike went on a particular TV show.
It was an NRA like sponsored video.
Yeah, he went on this NRA sponsored video, and not that I have any problem with the NRA or anything, whatever. You're allowed to like what you're allowed to like. But so Killer Mike was essentially he was alienating a lot of his fans by talking about certain relevant topics right now in the year 2018 on the NRA channel. And what do you think about a musician doing that and doing something like making a stance like that and alienating so many of his fans? What do you...
Well, I don't really know if he alienated all of his fans. I'm not really sure if I would consider being alienated. I'm frankly just really sick of the 3 albums they've already put out because I've listened to them so many times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't go out here in 2018 and be on an NRA sponsored video and talk about how he needs his daughter to learn how to use a rifle just in case, her college gets blown up.
Yeah, I think it's really like poor taste to do it at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. And I was really sad when I heard about that because he's a musician and yeah, he's political, but there's a certain line you should draw and just like stop talking, man.
Yeah, and he does mention it in a lot of his songs, and he's mentioned it quite a few times just in the past about how he owns a gun and he's a huge advocate for guns rights. But
it's not just a gun. He has like
a
machine guns.
Yes, they're too epic.
Yeah, like owning a gun is different than owning an arsenal, like a closet full of machine guns. And I don't know. It's really strange that this musician is taking this weird political stance.
Even though he is a political rapper.
Yeah, even though he's a political rapper, it kind of came out of the blue that he did this. And even
right after Parkland, I mean, it was really bad timing.
Yeah, and
in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's because there was someone who actually wrote in. I forgot who it was. There's someone who emailed the show and asked me about what you think about Run the Jewels, and that's where I think their music is fine.
Music's great.
Yeah, their music is great, but I think Hail Mary Mallon is a better version of Run the Jewels.
I don't know if I can compare them, but I don't know. There's elements there for sure. I'd say Run the Jewels has a stronger message than Hail Mary Mountain, and I feel like Hail Mary Mountain is just pretty much A$AP Rock at the end of the day.
Yeah, just him and then Rob Sonic doing 4 words.
Yeah,
at the end of the
and with
verse.
Run the Jewels, you get 50% LP, 50% Killer Mike, and it just
And
creates this amazing, just really,
they blend into each other.
yeah.
Another album that you guys should listen to is Starface meets Metalface.
Oh, the new MF Doom Czarface album.
Yeah, Starface is 3 guys, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's Inspect the Deck from Wu-Tang, and then it's L7 and Esoteric.
Yeah, and then MF Doom. For people who don't know MF Doom,
My idol.
turn this off right now, go listen to MF Doom, and come back. We'll wait for you.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay,
His
you're back?
stuff is
Cool.
the best. Like, I can listen to Madvillain all the time. Like, having it on record's even cooler. I love having it.
Yeah, and we're getting pretty deep into the whole like hip hop, what discography of what hip hop is and where it started. This kind of stuff. If you're listening and you're a real big Drake fan or like Future or like The Weeknd, that's awesome. This is not that, but it might show you what the other side of hip hop looks like, the most like bare bones version and not radioized. But you should listen to it. It's different. If that's what you listen to is top 40. Maybe give it a shot because it might open your eyes to some of the other stuff that's out there. And if you like that, you should listen to Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Oh, he's cool too.
King Ghidra and Deltron 3030.
Yeah.
His other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned that because I also love that one song, Preservation with A$AP Rocky.
Yeah.
And Del the Funky Homo
That-
Sapien. It's a great
And
song.
they use
Great
the same
starter song.
sample from not 192000 Dirty Harry, or what song is it?
Like-
Clint Eastwood. It's the same
Oh.
sample from Clint Eastwood
I didn't
that
know
they
that.
rap over. Yeah. So Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz has Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who plays
That I
Russell
know. Yeah.
as like the drummer. If you,
Of course, you would mention that somehow.
yeah, it's his name's spelled different. His is with one L.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's with 2. Oh yeah, for people. Oh wait, I do say my first name on this. Sorry, on the Instagram and Twitter, it just says "See What Sticks."
Mm.
So people address it to "Hey, see what sticks" because it doesn't say Russell on it. But yeah, totally separate point. But yeah, in that song, if you guys know the Gorillaz, it's one of their most famous songs.
Oh, yeah.
The rap part of that song is by Del the Funky Homo Sapien, which is like one of those songs that if you look at the comments on YouTube, one of the top comments is, who's the rapper? Who's the rapper? Who's rapping this? Who's this guy? Who's the feature? That's who it is. And he's a really good underground guy.
Yeah, and he's from Oakland, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Do you? Yeah, you're from California.
That's anyone from
Yeah.
California.
Do you know who Zion I is?
I do not.
Ooh, he has a song with Del. I'll have to play
Okay.
it later. But yeah, sorry, we're getting some really deep.
Yeah, I could talk about music all day.
Yeah, I don't think Emma and I have talked about music a little on the podcast, but haven't gotten really deep into music like this.
Yeah.
Partially because Emma's music taste and mine overlap a little bit, but a lot of her stuff is stuff I don't super listen to, and a lot of my stuff isn't stuff she super listens to. So we're going to have this conversation again with Emma so you guys can hear her side. But she does listen to a lot of stuff I listen to as well, but it'd be a very different conversation, and it'd be a very different rabbit hole to dive down. But apart from that, in music, who right now, we're going to do music, we're going to do TV shows, then we're going to do movies. So if you had to recommend to someone who's never heard this before or never really gotten exposed to non-mainstream music or albums, who are like 5 bands who are like your starter kit?
Well, it depends what kind of genre.
Let's do a little bit. Let's first
Like, who is this person who I'm recommending? music
So it's
to?
someone, the person that you're recommending to, maybe he or she
Spotify.
is anywhere between the ages of 18 to 25.
Okay.
And they're just like, they've heard, they know who like the Foo Fighters are. They know who like the Red Hot Chili Peppers are. They know like the big ones. They like know who the Beatles are. Maybe not a whole lot of songs, but someone who just has a very like baseline understanding of music, really big into like right now big pop music, so like Drake. I don't know who kids are listening to these days.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Kesha, but does anyone listen to Kesha?
I hope not.
That's where
a bash on Kesha.
But that's where my pop culture ends for you guys who, music, pop culture music is my weak spot in stuff. That and video games, because I don't really play video games.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Same here. But if you're asking me that question, I don't know if I'd say this is catered towards someone who listens to pop all the time, but probably my favorite band ever is Steely Dan from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They're fantastic. Just all their albums, starting with, like KDY and Royal Scam, Asia. They're just, I have them all on record too, and just, I love it. I don't know why I connect so much with Steely Dan. People make fun of me, but I think they're the best. And another newer band, a couple newer bands I really like, Unknown Mortal Orchestra. They've been around since like 2010, but their newest album is probably my favorite album so far of 2018. Another cool band, Toro y Moi, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
Really big Toro y Moi fan. I also like Wolfpack, some Roxy Music, Avalon, great album. My friend recommended it to me a couple months ago. What else? Beach Fossils, another cool indie rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I've just been listening to a lot of, like, funk music lately. So, like, The Meters and I mentioned Wolfpack before. But, just a little bit all over the place.
And so that's definitely Adam's picks for, like, if he had to recommend music to someone right now, that's who it would be. But...
And Tribe Called Quest, of course.
Yeah, for people who don't know any of this music... Seriously, look it up. I listen to a lot of the same kind of stuff. It's really good. For me right now, there's what I would recommend to someone who's never heard anything besides what's on the radio. Like, they don't have a Spotify account. They've never been on iTunes. They've never searched YouTube, maybe. But just someone who's kind of new or wants to get more adventurous with their record collection. There's going to be a guy who's actually going to be on the show as a guest coming up soon. The artist is named Serengeti. Kind of like in Africa, the Serengeti Plains. His name is Serengeti, and he's a Chicago rapper. So, rapper, producer, musician, artist, jack of all trades. What's up?
Great one at that. He's awesome.
He's super, super, super good. So, 100% recommend him. I would also recommend another artist named Open Mike Eagle, who 100% people should listen to if you like music in general. Open Mike Eagle is really good, really intelligent guy, and has a really interesting sound that kind of hits a lot of different genres. Would really recommend him. Right now, I've been listening to a lot of... So I'm going through my Spotify while I'm doing this because I'm super prepared and I do a lot of research for my show. I've been listening to a lot of the West Coast pop art experimental band. That their last album released in 1968, so super new band that you guys should listen to. If you want to listen to some 60s, 70s stuff. Another one would be King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Big fan of them, yeah.
They're newer band, but they also sound like they're from the 70s.
Yeah, and they put out 5 albums in 2017, so I think that's insanely impressive.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to put out an album, let alone 5 within 3 months of a time between. That's
like Brockhampton. They did that.
Yeah, but the thing is with Brockhampton, I'm not bashing on them. I like Brockhampton a lot, but Brockhampton's Brockhampton. But with King Gizzard, they're melding so many different genres and creating this crazy different songs that are like 10 minutes plus.
Yeah, and Brockhampton's songs kind of all flow together.
Oh, yeah, it's like rap.
Yeah, so... No,
it's not like I dislike it. I love it a lot. It's just they're totally different.
They're different
bands.
Yeah. They're good. I've been listening to a lot of the Vaccines, but
yeah, of course,
I'm a huge Vaccines fan, and I think maybe to top off that list of people who I've been listening to recently, I don't know who's another one I could recommend to someone who's not big into like underground stuff, but I'm gonna recommend Father John Misty.
Oh, how is he not? He's not underground. A lot of people know who he is.
I guarantee right now, if I ran a bet, if we walked onto the campus that we go to and asked people, and we asked people like on a poll, do you know who these people are? Yes or no? overwhelmingly going to be now.
That's the problem, I'm happy that you have a podcast like this where you can educate people on some awesome music. But yeah, Father John Misty's great. Fleet Foxes.
Yeah, his name is, what is it? What's his real name? It's John something.
Yeah.
But he has his own stuff. Father John Misty's his stage name. He's not a priest. But he was the singer for Fleet Foxes for a while.
He was a drummer, I think.
Yeah,
right?
he did singing and drumming for him.
That's awesome.
Also, San Cisco, speaking of good drummer.
Mhm.
It's basically two people. It's a guy and a girl, and the female vocalist is also the drummer, which I think is super impressive to have your vocalist be a drummer.
Yeah, it's like some Genesis shit.
Yeah. So that's who I'd recommend there. If you're going to recommend movies right now, you can go any genre. You can go comedy, horror, blah, 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 blah. What would you recommend to people who've only ever seen movies that are like the blockbuster movies?
I got a good one that just came to my head. The Friends of Eddie Coyle, Peter Yates, came out in 1973. Really cool movie with Robert Mitchum, who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy is the most pitiful, drunk, and it's so funny seeing Robert Mitchum really drunk, and he definitely drinks in this movie. It's not fake alcohol.
No, he's actually drinking.
Yeah, and he's slurring all his words, and I just love it. He's the iconic bad guy.
Yeah.
And, very 70s feel. You got the really funky guitar parts in the background.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Also kind of reminds me of Point Break with
Yeah.
using the masks, the presidential mask, the rob a bank.
Except
there's a couple
Point
scenes
Break.
like that.
Okay, on Point Break,
The
what do you
newest-
think of that movie?
The newest one or the old one?
The
The
famous
Catherine
one.
Bigelow?
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. The firing the gun up in the air.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Catherine Bigelow is awesome, and that was one of her first movies. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any problems. I have more problems with the remake. I don't understand why, there's all these crazy remakes about movies that only came out 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's a few movies they're remaking this year that I saw on a list.
They're remaking American Psycho. Why do
What?
why do you need to remake
they're-
that movie?
They're remaking American Psycho?
Yeah, the first one was amazing.
And Christian Bale is still alive and could play that role again.
He's barely aged.
Yeah.
Since 2000.
Is he playing? Is he going to be in it again, or is it?
I don't know.
I know they're remaking Memento.
That I can kind of see them remaking, just because I think the original was a little more low budget.
Yeah.
But you know what? Also, another good movie recommendation, since you brought up Christopher Nolan, Insomnia.
Oh yeah.
Not his version though, but
Oh.
the original from Norway from '97. Alex Skarsgård is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome movie.
That's, if you don't know who the Skarsgårds are, Stellan Skarsgård
Oh,
is
Stellan.
yeah, Stellan Skarsgård is the dad. He's in a lot of movies. If he's in the Avengers movies, he's one of the scientists. He's in Thor. Is the one that a lot of people know him from.
Mhm.
But his son Bill Skarsgård, it just played Pennywise in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I love that.
the
remake.
other Skarsgård, there's 4 of them. It's a whole acting family. They're all in stuff. So yeah, definitely shout out to the Skarsgård family from Norway.
Yeah, shout out to It. The new It was pretty cool.
That's actually a good remake. That's a remake that should have been remade and was amazing.
Yeah, because the original was a TV movie. So yeah,
With Tim Curry.
yeah, who I still think is the best Pennywise, but
Because he's Tim Curry, he's the greatest actor of all
He's so
time.
greasy and grimy and gross looking, super terrifying. Still have nightmares from it all.
What's your favorite Tim Curry role? I have 2.
I was gonna say you have to go with Rocky Horror, and then
Yeah.
It. I guess.
Oh, my favorite is Rocky Horror because it's the cult one, but also Muppet Treasure Island. He plays Captain Hook. He is so good in that role.
Somehow I feel like I knew that, but at the same time, I don't. It's not
I
registering.
love
in
Jim
my mind.
Henson and the Muppets, so
Okay,
every
that's
Muppet
cool.
thing, Muppet Christmas Carol is the best version of that movie, 100%,
Mm.
and Michael Caine's in it, so
Oh, okay,
you
well,
have to love it.
That guy's great too.
And Muppet Treasure Island with Tim Curry is a classic, and it's not just a kids movie. Everyone should watch it. I actually own it. I bought it on iTunes.
Damn, I need to see it because I haven't. But
Um,
Tim Curry's in it,
yeah.
I check it out.
What's another movie you would recommend to someone right now? Because I know I have a tentative list.
I do too, but I don't want to check my phone. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know, because my tastes are pretty old, One movie that came into my mind was well, I'll throw out a new one because I just saw it not too long ago and it really tripped me out. With Eyes Wide Shut, the last Kubrick movie.
That was in 1999, so that's not super
Still
new.
old, but like I was thinking of like stuff in the 50s and 60s. But yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of Kubrick lately, just trying to gear up for this movie, and I mean, he's Kubrick. There's no other.
If you guys don't know who Stanley Kubrick is, he did The Shining and 2001. Those are probably his two most famous.
Oh, I mean, guys,
A legend.
legendary.
And he was a legendary crazy person as well.
Yeah, that he was.
Yeah, he made his actors go insane.
Yeah, 130 takes of the certain scenes.
And he terrorized people on set.
Mm-hmm.
What a legend. So any other ones that you'd recommend to someone who's like never really gotten into movies but would
Well, I mean, since it's such a funny and awesome movie and I feel like everyone should see it, The Big Lebowski.
Oh, 100%. The Big Lebowski, for people who don't know what that is, seriously, actually turn this off. Go watch that and come back.
Yeah, we're throwing out a lot of good stuff.
That and Fargo, both Coen Brothers movies, 100% should
What's
watch.
Simple. Yeah, they got some amazing movies.
And most people who are listening to this probably have seen one or both of those movies.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to recommend some right now, this is one I don't know if I'd recommend to everyone, but I recently watched it when I was home because my dad, who I think listens to this, if not, he won't get that. But The Bridge Over River Kwai was on with Sir Alec Guinness. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh, dude, that movie is fantastic.
Fuck yeah.
100%. It's probably made in the 60s, and it's about there's like a prison camp and a guard, and they're building a railroad bridge across a river, and it's about how a group of people in this camp are trying to sabotage this. It has to do with the Japanese army. There's a lot more that has to do with it, but it's really, really good movie. And the end of it is kind of like the end of the movie Duel, which is a movie that everyone should watch. It's one of Steven Spielberg's first directorial.
Yeah, first movie, like the first.
And it was a TV movie that was on like ABC. That you all know who Steven Spielberg is. Watch the movie Duel. It's about a guy being chased by a truck. It is awesome.
It is a great movie. Dennis Weaver's in it.
Yeah.
But what movie you were just talking about?
Bridge Over River Kwai.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you said prison. I automatically thought of Cool Hand Luke. That's another movie.
The Great Escape.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Thinking of like
the egg scene.
Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh, I was just thinking the egg scene.
R.I.P. to that guy. That's one guy who I feel like one of these great actors who really went unrecognized, especially for like people of our generation.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, the dude was like 99. So
yeah. No, Cool Hand Luke is amazing.
So good.
If people haven't seen that, you should also turn this off. Go watch that and come back because that's more important than this. What are other good movies I would recommend to someone who hasn't watched a lot of movies? This is a really new one, like really new within the last, I think 4 years or 5 years. No, it's the last like 3 years because 2016. But you should watch Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance is the full name of the movie. And that movie, just watch it.
Shit. Yeah, like I saw that movie right when it came out, and yeah, that movie really made me want to get more into film.
Yeah, that was right when I switched into film.
Oh, okay, nice. Kind of around the same time. For
yeah,
me too.
So that's right around the time I switched into film, and I went to see it with a buddy, and he didn't get it the way I did, which sounds dumb, but like
I can totally relate.
He didn't realize there's I don't want to say gimmick in the movie, but there's a thing that's happening the entire film that's like a camera trick that they're doing the entire time. And it's kind of an illusion. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing is happening in the film. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. And if you realize it while you're watching it, you do. But if you don't, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't break the film. But I was like, my mind was blown throughout the entire film that they kept this illusion up. And when it was over, I'm like, holy God, that was the greatest thing ever. And my buddy who I was with was like, I mean, it was good. I'm like, dude, you didn't realize they were doing this? He's like, I mean, I guess I realized it because it's different. But he's like, why is that so cool? I'm like, dude, it's cool that they just achieved that.
Yeah, I've been there too many times.
So I actually watched Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance with Emma. And it blew her mind. And I didn't even tell her about it. She's like, what?
That's awesome.
Like she realized what was happening during the film. Because I think for most people who don't know that going in, it probably takes them 10 minutes to be like, wait a second, this is all shot like this way. And it's really cool when it hits you. So I recommend that movie. I think another movie that I would recommend to someone who's never really watched films, it's my favorite movie of all time, or my favorite series. I love Lord of the Rings. I'd recommend it to anyone. And I know a lot of people, surprisingly, have never seen it.
Like me.
You've never seen Lord of the Rings?
Not all three.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, we've talked about this.
No, we
before.
haven't.
Now I look like an idiot on your show, but yeah.
Oh boy. What? My mind is blown. I actually didn't know that you haven't seen all of them.
No, I haven't.
Oh, the second episode of this podcast is it's called Lord of the Rings Middle Earth Madness, and it's Emma just asking me questions about like the Tolkien universe. And like, yeah, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. For like, that is my
That I know.
Yeah, it's my guilty pleasure is, or not even guilty pleasure. That's just like my thing is I love fantasy. But yeah, so that and like Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones doesn't hold a candle to Lord of the Rings.
Another show I never watch.
You haven't seen Game of... What?
Yeah, I mean, might as well get it out there all now.
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm
God.
not. I've seen a couple episodes. You know, I don't know your fan base. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Actually,
but
on my fan base, we had
not the biggest fan.
Yeah, we had Curtis on here, who's a comic book guy, huge comic book guy and stand-up comedian. I love comic books as well. I know you're not as big into that.
I love stand-up though.
Yeah, you love stand-up, so that you have. But there's a bunch of people who started listening after the Comic-Con episode, so I assume there's probably a lot of fantasy people and a lot of people who like the more Comic-Con-esque stuff. And I can fall into that category, and also to the more like the Bergman category as well. Or I try to.
Yeah, man. I just, I think I just need to really give him a chance.
Yeah. So another movie I would recommend to people who've never watched movies or never really been to the
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. Jake Gyllenhaal is a 15-year-old. Donnie
Supposedly.
Yeah, but Donnie Darko I would 100% recommend. There's a movie I recommended on here last time I was on with Althoff, name dropping again. It's the movie Enemy. Recommend that. Recommend the movie Drive.
Good pick.
And then like my last recommendation for someone who's never really watched movies that should, I would recommend Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Good pick.
Wes Anderson movie, not his most recent movie. I'm not going to get
Very
into
under the radar, but really good movie.
I think that movie and Grand Budapest Hotel are his two best. Also, Darjeeling Unlimited is also really good.
It's so hard to rank Wes Anderson movies, but that's a pretty good. That's fair. I would say I'd throw in Rushmore somewhere in the top 3. Just because I love that movie.
Rushmore?
I wouldn't say it's his best.
Have you seen
There's
Bottle
something
Rocket?
special about it. I have not. That's the one with Luke and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, it's his first one.
Yeah, well, wait, they're at like Texas, right? University of Texas, Austin.
Yeah, I think so.
That's so cool.
And Owen Wilson was his roommate.
Yeah, I love that. I love those little stories.
And then, yeah, those are like those stories from like film school where it's like, oh my God, this guy was your roommate. But I mean, at the time, you wouldn't know that. Owen Wilson's just a student. Like, you would never know that these people blow up afterwards.
Man, I would be very surprised if my roommates became Owen Wilson. So,
I mean, your roommates are nice guys, but they're definitely not Owen Wilson.
They don't got that nose.
Yeah, they don't have the Owen Wilson or the, oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But so, yeah, that's our recommendations. Oh, TV shows, last one.
Yeah, probably the one I'm not as strong on. But I would say, I mean, we talk about it almost all the time. Arrested Development, if you haven't mentioned it on your show.
I actually haven't.
Is a great show. What else? I've been really into Fargo, the FX series.
I've only seen season 1.
Season 1's great.
Oh, what about
That's the only one I really...
What about the show that you always mention to me that, oh my God, how haven't you seen it?
Yeah, Twin Peaks, man. You got to get into it. Just because I have a feeling you would like David Lynch's
No,
stuff.
I do like David Lynch, but
Okay.
it's... So, as a film person, a lot of people are fans of a show called Twin Peaks. It was on before. It's on again. David Lynch is spearheading that. And whenever you're a film person, you tell someone you don't like Twin Peaks, is like if you're
It's like blasphemous.
It's blasphemous. It's like if you're a music person and you say you hate the Beatles. It's essentially like that. Or it's like saying that you hate like Star Wars or hate George Lucas. It's one of those things, or hate Steven Spielberg. It's I've seen 1 or 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I haven't gotten into it, and people freak out.
You know what? And I could tell you why. Because the first couple episodes are super slow. Because you know what the whole show is about. It's about the girl dying.
Yeah.
But what's so great about that show are the people who are in it. Like Kyle MacLachlan's just phenomenal. And it's funny because I've shown friends Blue Velvet, and they could stand it. They said this was like probably the worst.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. Maybe they were so tripped out about how surreal everything was, but I don't know. You know, I like my movies to stand out.
Yeah.
Same with TV shows, and Twin Peaks really stands out, especially the newest season. It's probably the weirdest stuff I've ever seen on TV.
Oh, yeah.
It is really creepy.
I know a bunch about it, and I've seen screen caps and like pictures, and people sent me stuff, so I'm 100% aware of what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of dream sequences and nightmares and just surrealness and
that
all
show,
the stuff I love.
100% recommend that. Arrested Development. My favorite sitcom of all time is The Simpsons. I'm a huge Simpsons fan.
Right now.
100% would recommend that to anybody.
I think everyone knows it by now.
But they're on season 25 or whatever, so longest running show of all time. Or longest running sitcom show of all time.
Yeah,
I think
I feel like Jeopardy.
SNL.
Oh yeah, since '77.
Yeah.
Early SNLs are amazing. That's something I love. My friend.
Do you know
Alex,
the original cast? That's the question.
Yeah, of course.
My parents went through it this last weekend when I was home. Who is the original cast?
All right, so you got Jane Curtin. You got.
I'm gonna look this up to see.
Yeah, you got the dude who plays Chico Escuela, Garrett Morris.
Mm-hmm.
You got let me get the obvious ones. Chevy Chase, John Belushi. Was Bill Murray on?
Okay, do you want me to tell you who it is?
I know I've got some already, but let me keep. I think I can get more. I already said Jane Curtin, Gilda Radner. I don't know. Who am I missing?
Here you go. Here's the list. You can read it off.
Oh, I was pretty close.
You were.
Forgot about Dan Aykroyd in number 1. Oh, and Lorraine Newman, and then everyone else I got.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty good. Is that your favorite cast from SNL?
No. But it's probably out there. I think what's so great about those early SNLs are the people who play like music, the musical guests. Are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They got
just because
really
of the time.
Strange people. Yeah, they had like Captain Beefheart on there. It's a really funny performance. I recommend people watching it.
Oh, yeah. And I think my favorite SNL cast, if we're getting into SNL, which everyone 100% should watch. I actually recently met someone
who's never seen it.
Who's never watched SNL ever, and they didn't know what it was. And they're like, I don't get why all the characters are different. I'm like, it's because it's a skit show.
Oh, man.
I know.
That...
It was a dude in one of my classes who did not know what SNL was.
Please don't say it was a film class.
It was. It was my class with Paula Leverage, who was a great professor.
The best
Shout
professor.
out.
But that's the whole reason. I don't understand it. Like, how could you be a film student and not know Saturday Night Live?
How could you be a person and not know Saturday Night Live?
Okay, if you're... I'll cut you a break if you don't watch any TV or any movies.
But it's like a cultural
it's like, this
thing.
is what you're studying in school.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have to know every episode and everyone on it, but just...
You should be aware
Saturday
of what it
Night
is.
Live. It's been on the
air
fucking
for
NBC forever.
Yeah, and my favorite cast is the one with... It's the Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler...
So it was like
Seth Meyers.
You're a little bit older, but like I don't know, like right when I was like a teenager.
With Kenan Thompson.
He's been on forever.
Bobby Moynihan.
Oh, that guy's great.
Even Vanessa Bayer. She's a little newer on that cast, but who else is? I think that's pretty much the entire cast of that time. So it was right after
Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers is on there. Who was the other news anchor?
Back then?
Yeah.
I'm
looking this up.
I forget Weekend Update anchors all the time. Because I think the best one is Norm Macdonald, hands down.
Yeah.
That guy was hilarious.
Seth.
Oh, and big shout out to my boy Mitch Hedberg, R.I.P. Funniest stand-up comedian ever.
He was incredible. Oh, it's him and Amy Poehler. It was them together. That whole cast.
Her out of my mind. I haven't seen her in a movie in a while. So
I just
forgot about her.
I just rewatched Arrested Development, and she plays Job's wife.
Oh yeah, I forgot. And they do all these crazy things like whale watching and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she plays Job's wife. It's
All the cameos on that show are so gold.
I think the best one, now that we're going to get off topic again before we end, is the J.K. Simmons cameo as the military colonel. And I'm like, oh my God, how did they get him for this? Because he wasn't super famous at the time
Not
either.
at all. Yeah, he's pretty under the radar. I mean, I love Whiplash,
Yeah.
of course.
Who's the director that he also did La La Land?
Damien Chazelle.
Yeah, Damien Chazelle. Who I'm glad didn't win because I
And The
didn't like
Greatest
La La Land.
Showman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not really. I didn't really like La La Land either, but I'll give him props when he deserves them. And Whiplash was
Fantastic.
fantastic.
If you guys haven't seen Whiplash, I've talked about it on this show before. If you want to see a movie with that's tense and has action, but there's no fight scenes or action scenes, watch Whiplash because it'll have you
Great
sweating.
music, too.
Oh yeah, if you love music and love anything having to do with that, or have ever had an abusive coach or a coach that's pushed you too hard, you should watch Whiplash because that movie will have you on the edge of your seat and in tears, and it'll have you reliving some weird memories if you've ever had a bad coach. Because I've had some not so cool coaches in my life,
Yeah,
and
same
there's
here.
certain things that are in that movie that I'm like, oh my God, they nailed that. But yeah, another show that I'd recommend, Seinfeld.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That goes without saying.
Larry David is a god among men,
Mm-hmm.
and Larry David and my dad are the same person, and I'll stand by that forever.
Yeah, I gotta see that. I don't know. Do they look alike? Or?
Does my dad look? I'll pull up a picture of my dad right now. I have pictures. If I know my mom listens to this, and I don't know how much my
Russell's
mom. Hey mom, what's up? Thanks for listening. You make this show possible. Sorry guys, I'm filling space. Okay, this is a picture of my dad.
For some reason, I had a feeling like that was your dad. Like if you were to show me 10 other people and be like, which one's my dad? That one would be him.
Really?
Yeah. Just from the way you described him. But he doesn't look like Larry David.
Here's who he looks like. This is who people say he looks like. Apparently, when my dad was a little kid, he looked like Ralphie from The Christmas Story. So, but yeah, now that we're having a whole segment on this show about my dad, but my dad looks a little like Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Like a bunch like Steve Martin.
Yeah.
So if you guys know who Steve Martin is, kind of looks like my dad. And
yeah, I don't know. I don't think my dad looks like anyone. Neither do I. I'm just myself.
yeah, I don't know if I look like anyone. I don't have
No.
a celebrity look-alike. I wish I did. Sometimes people say that I look like Raphael Nadal, but I'm like, nah.
Whoa, okay. I don't know about that.
I'm totally kidding. I don't look anything like Raphael Nadal.
Yeah, I have a friend. He's like, everyone says you look like Leo Messi. It's like,
No.
what? You're like 6'3" and white.
Yeah. Sometimes I get Ryan Reynolds. I'm 100% kidding. I don't. I wish I was that good looking. But yeah, that was this episode of the show that we're recording at midnight on a Thursday after we're done filming for 8 hours. So yeah, thank you for listening. Adam, thank you for being on.
Yeah, anytime.
We're going to have Serengeti on hopefully in the very near future. And for people who don't know who that is, we already talked about him a little bit, but maybe listen to him on Spotify before you listen to the show. If you're someone who listens every week, Serengeti is a really interesting guy. I'll have him introduce himself personally before we get there so he can say his non-stage name if that's what he wants. I don't know. But yeah, his real name is not Serengeti. That'd be a very interesting name for parents to give a kid, just no last name. It's like Prince.
Yeah, that's his real name too.
Yeah.
Prince Rogers something.
Wait, who else? Who was another? Oh, like Tupac. That was his real name.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Serengeti is not like that. He's not like a
Yeah.
Tupac or a Prince, name-wise. But yeah, thank you for listening. This is See What Sticks. It's a podcast about everything and nothing. And yeah, this is Adam. If you want to follow Adam, he doesn't have an Instagram, but I'll link my Instagram below. Adam, do you have a Twitter?
I don't have anything. I don't believe in social media. So
Okay, so that's Adam.
sorry to be really melodramatic, but
Adam actually doesn't even live in a house. He lives in a cardboard box.
I live in an idea.
Yeah. He's more of a conceptual thing than a real person. We've actually just had a recording this entire time. Adam's not even here.
I'm a ghost from a whole ham radio.
Yep. Okay, well, thanks for listening, and we will have another episode this weekend. Bye-bye!